Hello everyone, how are we doing today? I hope we're all good. We are all studying for our exams. Today we are going to discuss part A of your NLSAT examination. NLSAT, as we all know, is your exam for 3-year LLB at OG, the NLSIU Bangalore. All right. So, as we have already discussed, this exam has two sections, Part A and Part B. Part B is a descriptive paper wherein you write your answer, right? It's a subjective paper, so to say. But if you talk about Part A, that is an objective paper. It's an MCQ based paper with, of course, four options and one correct answer. Now, see, Bache, the actual difference in marks comes from Part A only, because in part B, no matter how creative, how beautifully you have written your answer, the difference wouldn't be stark. Maybe you'll get 1 mark more than your peer or two at max. Even if I ask TY Chandrachud to write an answer for NLSAT part B, I'm sure he will not get more than 8 on 10. Right? That too, I mean, I have been gracious enough in saying that the professors of NLS would give him 7, I believe, and 8 in some questions. So there isn't a scope to create a lot of difference here. The actual difference in marks, the section that actually makes or break your percentile, is part A. Right? So this is very important. Today we are going to discuss what this part A looks like, what does it contain, and how do we prepare well for it. Chaliye. As I said, it is an MCQ based objective paper. Just a second. Yes, as I said, it's an objective paper, entirely MCQ based. It has 75 questions, my dear, and they also give you a total of 75 minutes to do these questions, which gives us roughly 1 minute for every question, right? 1 minute every question. All right. Now, bache, one important and peculiar thing about this exam, which separates it or differentiates it from CLAT, ALET, and CUET kind of papers is that here, if you leave any answer unattempted, you get a negative marking of 0.25 or 1/4, right? So the tip here is, even if you're not sure of the answer, still attempt the question, because we don't know, maybe luck would favor you or it could be a fluke. But if you're leaving it unanswered, definitely you're gonna lose 0.25 or 1/4 of your mark. So the very first step is that to not leave any question unanswered. All right, because even if you leave it unanswered, there is a negative marking. If you mark it wrong, again negative marking. Let us at least trust our luck for a change here. Chaliye. Now, what is the strategy going to be? Of course, as I said, attempt all questions. Even if you're not sure, make an educated guess. Right? How do I do that? I'll tell you. So, I remember in 2025 or 24, there was one question where they asked who's the minister for so and so post. Now, I did not know who the minister is. But when I read the options, I know A was Priyanka Chaturvedi. I said she is not a BJP person, so there is no way she is handling a center position. Then there was Amit Shah. Easily, I could eliminate that. And even the rest two options were easy to eliminate. So you can always make such educated guess while you're answering your part A questions, right? But never leave a question unanswered. Chale. Now, let's look at the subjects, right? Where are the questions asked from? Basically, bache, three domains: English, critical reasoning, and general knowledge. General knowledge, again, two parts: GK and current affairs. Your static GK and your current affairs. We'll go one by one and we'll look how we prepare for each section. When I talk about English, bache, see, they're not testing your literary knowledge, who wrote this novel. No, they are not even checking your core grammar concepts. They're not doing that. What they're doing instead is that they're checking your comprehension. As a lawyer, how well can you read a document critically, and do you have a sharp eye for detail? That is what they're looking for. So how do I prepare for this section? First of all, of course, read a lot, practice reading comprehension. You can read newspaper editorials, very good. Any Twitter post, that also counts as reading. And any monthly magazine, a good monthly magazine you can follow, for example Economics and Political Weekly, because they do source direct passages from that magazine, right? And it's a good one, it gives you a nice perspective for your part B as well. If you have more content, you can write better answers. So any good magazine, pick it up and start reading. Vocabulary in context, even if you don't know the exact meaning of a word, you should be able to derive the meaning based on other things written in the passage. Then logical flow of the arguments, tone, implication and inference. Now these are the concepts you need to understand, beta. If you have joined a coaching, well and good, they will teach you these concepts. If not, there are a few videos available on YouTube for free as well. But no matter what path you try to choose, you have to be very, very strong in these concepts. Once your basics are done, then of course you practice a lot. Chale, how do we do here? How do we build the consistency? Read regularly, practice passages, and understand why an option is right or wrong. Chale, very good. After that, critical reasoning, majority of questions from your part A are going to be from this particular section. Okay. Now, of course, here also, very first step, get your basics right. You have to make a strong foundation, strengthening, weakening, assumption, inference, conclusion. Understand these concepts very, very well. And then, of course, practice a lot. Do not memorize the rules कि अच्छा if a is equal to b, that does not mean a not will be equal to b not. ऐसे rules मत पढ़ो बच्चे. Why? These are not standalone questions. Such rules are very helpful if you are attempting standalone question कि एक statement है, दो conclusion है, एक, but such questions are not asked here. All the questions are passage based, so focus more on practicing and understanding rather than any tricks or rules, so to say. Chaliye. Now if I talk about general knowledge, now this is one topic, this is one subject a lot of people tell me, ma'am, this is a headache for us because the kind of GK they ask, it is so unpredictable. I remember one year they asked what is the highest grossing film of SRK. Ma'am, मुझे ही क्या पता, मैं तो fan भी नहीं हूँ शाहरुख खान का, how would I know? So yes, the reason is that they don't want the paper to be predictable. They don't want coaching institute to train their students to write this exam, which is why the GK that they ask bache, it is not the kind of GK you find in some coaching institute ka monthly compendium, right? The GK comes from what are the controversies, what are the hot topics of debates and deliberation in the society, in college campuses, Twitter, or social media per se. So, how do I prepare for this? Only one tip: keep your eyes and ears open throughout the year. Stay updated with what's happening in India and around the world. What are the major, as I said, controversies or debates that are happening in college campuses, Twitter, social media, or even newsroom? You should be aware of those things. Now, if I talk about static GK, there are certain topics that they ask. They ask every year. For example, awards, who won Nobel Prize for so and so thing. After that, another favorite is ranking. Where does India stand in the World Hunger Index? Poverty index, happiness index, who has the strongest passport, where does India stand in this ranking? All such questions they are going to ask you for sure. Then if an Indian person does well in some Gora land, some US, UK, France, anywhere, if there is some Indian person who has achieved something, they will ask you about him or her. For example, recently there is this Bengali author who received an award abroad and she dedicated it to the Palestinian cause. Tell me in the comment who she was. All right. You have to be aware, you have to be updated of these events taking place. All right. And of course, if you have joined a coaching center, they will give you some relevant news that have most, let's say, chances of appearing in your actual paper. Although, as I said, the paper is pretty unpredictable. However, there are certain topics that we know will be asked. They have been consistently asking these for last 3 to 4 years, right? So this is all from my side. Practice a lot I mean, make a strong foundation, understand the core concepts, and then it's just a game of practice. Very important. Unless you don't clear this exam, your part B answer keys will not be checked, right? So this is the most important part here, bache. If you don't score well in part A and you do not make it to the top, I think 50% or what is it? Your part B paper will not be checked, no matter how good answers you write. You don't want your answers lying around in the trash can of NLSIU Bangalore, right? So prepare well for part A. All right. See you all then. This is all from my side. I'll see you in the next lecture. See you all. Bye bye.